There you go, actually making progress on this. How's everybody doing? I hope everything is fine. I hope the pandemic is treating everybody just alright. Alright, so I'm gonna have to make a confession, which is 10 seconds into the clip and I'm already getting to confessions. But I haven't set anything up, so I'm going to take a couple of minutes to just bring the tweet chat up, make sure that I see everybody. And yeah, so how is everybody doing? I hope everything is fine, and I'm really hoping I'm not DDoSing myself right here. Whoop! I definitely am. Jeez, there you go. All right, so let me check it out. I think everything is fine. I'm just gonna go on Twitch real quick and make sure that everything sounds right. I should be able to see the room, the lobby in just 1 minute. Yeah. Dude, I swear I haven't opened this app in so long, I'm not even sure where I have it anymore. I'm not even sure if I have it anymore. I think Android just decided that I should stop streaming. No, there you go. Right, so I hope everybody's doing fine, and I hope that the pandemic is treating you guys fine. I hope you are not getting too bored, and I hope you're finding good ways to have fun during weekends. And right now, I am online. I'm going to go to my channel real quick, make sure that everything's fine. Oh wow, I actually have 10 followers. Thank you very much for the 10th follower. But I'm gonna go ahead and last live just now. Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh wow. There you go. So we should be fine. Hope everything is doing. I'm about to sneeze. Woo! There we go. Right. So I have everything set up. I'm just gonna go ahead and wait for, I think, 5 more minutes should do. Yeah, 5, 10 more minutes. And after that, I think we can just get started. By the way, if you guys are listening to this, let me know if the audio is alright because I always fuck it up. It's always either too loud or you can't hear me at all. So yeah, just let me know if everything is fine. And if you want me to use my mic, I can do that as well. If it just sounds like shit, I can just switch to my mic and it's probably gonna be a fraction better. I'm not making any promises. Although you know what, I can try something else. Just give me a second. Right. So I'm gonna try to use my headphones instead. I'm in a bit of a conundrum right now because the mic that my laptop is using is shit. But because of that reason, I've bought an external microphone to help me actually be able to stream, right? Catch is, that one sounds even worse. So I'm gonna try to use these headphones and just let me know if it actually makes any difference. Right. So right. I think this should be fine. It's a bit of a weird feeling because both of my headphones are actually soundproofing the entire room, and I just feel like I'm talking to myself onto water. It's definitely a weird feeling. But yeah, either way, what are we gonna do today? Basically, I see I have one viewer. Seb, if that's you, hey man. But yeah, I'm just gonna do the whole presentation because why the fuck not? Basically, I made this little program. You can make games with it. I spent some time working on it. I've added a bunch of different stuff in it, and right now I'm pretty much trying to make a showcase for it. Why? because it's Friday night and like all the bars are closed in soon. I There's nothing else to do, so I might as well just showcase it. I'm probably gonna make an actual clip at some point because I wanna post that stuff on Twitter as well. But in the meantime, I just thought about streaming. Why not? And what are we gonna do today? I just gave you the context, but what are we actually gonna do today? Well, long story short, I'm thinking about making a map for an RPG game. It's probably gonna be something like a fantasy medieval type theme, but I'm very open to suggestions. Like I'm checking out the chat as we speak. I have the chat right here, and if you guys want to see something, if you feel like I want to see a big ass barn with 3 levels, just type it in. I'm gonna say it. Oh, I did, Mr. Ross. Hey, nice to see everyone. So yeah, I was saying, like, if you want to see anything in particular, just type it out in chat, and I'm gonna model it for you. You're gonna see what this thing is all about, and yeah, I think everything is gonna make sense. By the way, um, there you go, dude. There you go. Nice to see you, Gizmo. Thank you for joining. But yeah, guys, without further ado, I'm just gonna jump straight into it. We're gonna start making something, and yeah, we're just gonna see how it goes. Well, yeah, there you go. I hope everything works fine and I don't embarrass myself. Right. So let's see. I made a few dumb things here. I was just playing around before. So before anything else, just so we don't cheat, we're gonna go ahead and just get rid of all those things that we saw earlier. Just take it from the ground up. So the way this works, I have this whole folder structure in here that's generated whenever you run the program, right? And if you go to here and into assets, you have all these folders in which you can put different resource types. And the things that we just saw, like these things right here, they're called renderables. So what renderables are, they're basically just objects that you can place on the map. Like that. Easy, right? So now if you go ahead and go back to the folder, I'm just gonna go ahead and delete the renderables folder, which it won't let me because I'm running the program. But I'm just gonna delete this and we take it from the ground up. Before that, we're gonna do something special, which is actually not special at all, but we're gonna download a grass texture that we can use for our background. Or actually, you know what? No, we're gonna do something else. No, just forget about it. Yes, ish. So what renderables are is what you get after you use the editor to create a stacked sprite. So you're gonna be, let's say for instance, we're gonna make a room. The stacked sprites are gonna be organized into a renderable. But afterwards, what you can do is you can press on a button that says Save Template, and afterwards you can use those exact same settings as a prefab. It's kind of like the same thing, but renderables for now are just the file type and templates are prefabs. So first of all, I'm gonna go ahead in here in Object Editor. You're gonna keep all the stuff you use to create objects, so like materials and brushes pretty much. And inside the brushes, no, my bad, inside the materials, I had some cool textures I just bought, and I think I'm just gonna use, you know what, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and just copy everything. Why not? And what I'm gonna do is post them in here. I'm gonna paste them in textures. And what this is going to allow me to do is, we'll see. Right. So the reason I did that is because this looks pretty fucking boring. So instead what we can do is we can go on scene right here, and we can pick up a background texture that gets wrapped around. So instead of having to work very hard to create a background, we can just copy a texture and use that. And I guess I was actually thinking about making something like a European medieval village. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. But for now, I'm gonna start with something very basic, something like a just grass base, I guess, and save that. And there you go. Now we just have a base to work with. It doesn't look particularly pretty, so so I'm just gonna use, I guess, grass tree. Yeah, whatever. It's not perfect, but it's a starting point. Right. So a good starting point would be to make some resources for our thing. So I think that a good starting place for a village, or yeah, I guess a village, ancient village, would be to create some walls. As soon as we have some walls, we can give some structure to our city. So in order to do that, I might as well showcase the object editor for those of you who haven't seen it. So what you would do is, again, most of you guys already know what sprite stacking is, so I'm not just gonna go into too much detail. But the way this works, you can just draw on the screen using these brushes right here and these textures right here. They go together. And if I were to use a brush, I could see it on the screen like this. I could just draw on the screen by using whatever shape I choose to. But since we're making something like a object with straight angles, we can just go ahead and use snap to create. It's just gonna make everything way easier. So to make some walls, let's see if I find a good texture for this. There you go. This looks about fine. So the way I'm thinking about it is, let's make something like this. Right, so we have the first layer right here. And let's make it 3 thick. It's gonna be easier to work with. And I'm gonna go ahead and press N. And when I do that, we're gonna have a new layer right here. And just keep doing the same process over again, like that. I'm gonna leave it hollow on the inside. In the future, this is gonna be useful because I'm gonna be able to break stuff. I'm gonna be able to fracture stuff inside. But for now, I'm just I'm just lazy, so I'm not gonna feel it. I'm just gonna make these. For now, each layer is about 1 meter tall. This is not fixed. You can actually change the height of each layer in here, like that. And this is gonna be useful when we're making, how should I call it, more detailed objects. So if I'm gonna make something like a chair, that would be useful since I'm not gonna want each stacked sprite layer to be like 1 meter tall. But for buildings, 1 meter is about right. And yeah, this looks like it's 4 meters tall. I'm just gonna make another meter right here, like that. And I can press P to disable perspective, because perspective makes it a bit hard to actually edit stuff. So I'm gonna draw another layer right here. And I can actually add some wood as well. I think this looks about fine. Yeah, there you go. And now I'm gonna add one more layer right here. And I could use this thing where I use very small cells. It's a bit of a detail editing kind of thing. But again, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time, so I'm just gonna get lazy and just do this. And there you go, we have a wall. Thanks, man. Thanks, I appreciate that. Alright, so cool. I mean, yeah, it's good enough. It's good enough. So we're gonna go ahead and just save this, and we're gonna save it to mapping. And you can see we have 3 little categories right here, and by choosing what each category does, we choose where we can use it pretty much. And I'm gonna go through the different types of stuff you can place on the map in just 1 second. But for now, let's just focus on making our scene. So we just saved the wall, and now it should be available in here. There you go. So we can just start by placing it on the screen. You know what? I actually think I'm gonna get rid of the background. Just this, yeah, it annoys me. But yeah, before we go ahead and place the next wall section right here, I'm gonna make a tower because that usually makes a very good connector. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this and come back here, get rid of this real quick. And this is one thing I just added. Whenever you select a texture, it gets saved to history, makes it way easier to actually create objects because you don't have to go back between materials every now and then. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create a tower like that, and I just like doing this shape, and I'm gonna go, I think I'm gonna make it like 5 meters tall as well, or like 6 meters, so it's just above the rest of the wall. New layer, I think, yeah, I'm 3 meters tall so far. Right, 4 meters, like that, and I would say 5 meters. There we go. And now we can actually use the wood as well. I'm gonna use this one. Cool. And I actually think I have a texture right here that looks a bit like a door, so we could use that as well. These textures are not really aligned, they're just a bunch of stuff I ripped off Google Images, so it's probably not gonna look very cohesive. We're just gonna play around with it and figure out if it works on the fly. But yeah, this is the one I was thinking about, and it looks like shit. Holy fuck. Yeah, abandon that, scratch that. Yeah, that is not going to work, man. I'm just gonna abandon that. Yeah, we're just gonna keep it like that, whatever. But yeah, this looks like a good base. I'm gonna make another layer here though, so you can obviously navigate between layers, and it's gonna look a bit like, I messed it up. It's gonna look a bit like this. And right now I think we can actually make use of the detail brush as well, make this look a bit fancier. So the way this works is if I press down Control, I get this super tiny grid. And with this thing I can actually make very detailed objects. I'm not gonna go super in depth with it because it's a tower and nobody cares. But I'm just gonna make something like this. Boop, boop, boop. That is so small, literally nobody can see it. But I think I have a better use for this. Check it out. So I'm gonna take the eraser, and instead of just doing like tiny pixels all over the place, I'm gonna make some cracks in the wall, because why not? There you go. And now when we perspective shift it, yeah, there you go. Our little wall is cracked. Cool. And I think we can actually crack the... Oh, I actually have a sick idea. Check it out. So I can actually make my trapdoor, but I'm not going to use an entire texture. Instead, I'm just going to use the detail tile thing I just showed you. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to take the eraser and I'm going to delete one tile. And after I delete that, I'm going to go ahead and select some metal. Like this looks good. And I'm just going to go ahead and do it carefully, pixel by pixel, and make a little trapdoor. Like this. I really hope I don't mess it up, because Yes, I didn't mess it up. I didn't I didn't implement Control Z yet, and every time I mess it up, I have to do it all over again. But yeah, I think this should look about fine. Yeah, and I like that you can see inside it as well. So now, since you can see inside, we can actually draw another wooden floor, because why not? And the cool thing about this is as soon as I release my mouse button, it's gonna get shaded. Or not. The fuck? Yeah, you should have no idea what happened. Oh no, it did! It did! It did! For some reason it just didn't display. But yeah, it got shaded by the layer above. I don't know, man. Whatever, it's acting weird. But I'm just gonna make a new layer as well and make the little spikes. Like that, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, this looks weird because it's not exactly a regular shape, I guess. But I mean, yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna do this. There we go. And we have a tower as well. Let's save this. Nice. I'm glad you're enjoying, guys. Yeah, I think I just broke my program. And that happened for a very simple reason. I clicked on a screen that I didn't implement yet. And the whole program just exploded. Right, so we have our thing saved in here and we can go ahead and create some city. There you go. And you can see they go together quite nicely as well. I don't really like this since it's a bit too much to the left. And now I can actually show you some cool stuff. I can actually go into detail and show you the precision editing system, if you'd like. And the way this works is when you press on any of these things that just spawned here, you're going to get a bunch of different attributes. If you expand it, you're going to get even more. But the ones on the right here are the ones that you're going to be using most often. And we have this position thing right here. And we can look, if we look real close, we can see that X is painted in blue. And we can kind of figure it out from here as well and from here as well. So what we want to do is we actually want to take this tower right here and move it a bit to the right. So this would mean that we have to take on the Y axis. And if we look at this little widget right here, we want to decrease it. So the line goes to the positive, we want to go the other way around, so negative. So the way we would do this is just go ahead right here, and I think 0.5 meter should do. So we're just gonna put it on 0. There you go, magic. 0.2. There you go, let's go. So yeah, we have a wall segment. We're gonna add another one right about here. Oh, I think I made my tower too small. Yeah, I made my tower way too small, because you can see that this little bit of the wall actually intersects with my tower. But it's actually not too much of a big problem, because I can go ahead and press on the tower right here, and I'm gonna get something called elevation that I can just increase by 0.1. And boom, the little thing right there is gone. Yeah, and it still looks just about fine. Yeah, cool. Right, so we have a bit of a wall section, and what I'm thinking about is we can make this developing kind of village, where it's not exactly the village capital in Skyrim, but it's just kind of a developing village, I guess. So what this would mean is that we wouldn't have all these wall sections everywhere, right? Some of them are still in building. It's still a developing village. So we can have a bunch of woodwork and a bunch of I'm not sure how they're called, like those skeletons around the buildings and stuff. And we can also have some hay. But yeah, I think that in order to do that, some good start would be, first of all, let's get some grass, because this looks boring. So let's go ahead and make some grass base that we can paste around, and then we can think about making other things like the wooden skeletons and whatnot. So we are going to have to decide on a grass texture right here, and I think this is my favorite. So we're gonna actually use a brush for this one, because yeah, it's a bit difficult to make it look natural with square things. And right now the brush is very small, you can barely see it, but if I hold Control and scroll up, there you go, it gets to a decent size. And I think so each one of these things is about 1 meter, and we want our grass to cover, let's say, about 4 meters in total, so it's easier to cover up. You certainly can, my friend. Let me see. When do I get my art degree? Right. So I'm gonna make this about 4 meters, I think, like something like this. And I'm gonna show you a little trick that I like to use. So we have our grass, but I'm gonna use something that I used to use. I used to use when I was right. So when I was painting miniatures for Warhammer, I used to love this thing as a kid. So if you don't know, there's Warhammer, and they sell these tiny ass miniatures, and they come painted in gray. It's just plain old gray. And what you do is buy a bunch of paints that are worth a kidney each, and then you take a little brush and you start painting the miniatures. And it's actually super fun. It sounds nerdy as hell, but it's actually super fun, and it is nerdy as hell. And the way you would do this, the way you would make it actually look cool, is you would start with the deepest level of color. So, what do I mean by this? Look, all right. This is gonna. Right, I swear, I'm not just trying to show off my guitar. But look at this. So, right here, let's look at the guitar neck, right? The base color would be the one that's deepest on the palette. So if you can see this, let me just make sure that you can see it. Yeah, should be fine. Like that, rather. So the deepest color right here will be something like a blue, like a brown, right? And then on top of it, you can see some stuff like some ivory, and you can see some silver. And yeah, that's about it. And the way you do this, you start with the very dark brown, and that will be the very base. And then on top of the dark brown, you would apply a shade of lighter brown. And that would be, if my camera is not complete shit, the little rivets, I guess, the little wood veins on the neck. That would be the lighter brown. And just 1 second, I want to make sure that I'm actually still alive. I hope I am. But yeah, either way. And afterwards, after you're done with that, you're probably gonna paint something like the ivory, which is just a little above that. And then go ahead and paint the silver. You're gonna do the exact same thing. Wait. We're gonna do the exact same thing on our end. Just give me 1 second because yeah, my app just decided to not work. Stop. Just want to make sure I'm still alive. That's all that's going on. Yeah. Looks like we're still online. Yeah, I guess I'm still online, but I just can't see the chat room. Well, that's annoying, man. That is annoying. Cool. I can see now. I just can't see myself. Whatever. But going back to it, I think that what I was trying to say is that we can start with the deepest level, which would be something like dirt or gravel or something like that, and we can start painting with that. Or in our case, whatever abomination this texture is. I guess this is supposed to be some dirt. I'm not sure. But yeah, I guess. Even some rock. Let's go ahead and paint some rock. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, that's actually a good point. It might be. Yeah, it actually might be because I remember I had some lava in the pack as well. Yeah, so we're gonna start with this. And then on top of it, we're not gonna create a new layer just yet. But on top of it, we're going to add some of that dirt I talked about. And then just a tiny bit of a lighter material, a lighter dirt. Kind of like that. And you can kind of see how it already adds a bit of texture to it, right? It's not boring, it doesn't feel like a static texture. It just feels more like a natural slice of terrain you'd see in real life. Right, so we're done with this, and now we can actually start adding a bit of the grass right here. And we're not gonna add a lot. We're just gonna add a few patches. Make this a bit bigger as well. There you go, just a few patches. Because remember, we're on ground level. And I'm gonna go ahead and create a new layer right there. And remember, I was talking to you about how we can modify the elevation level. Now this would be a good point. Why? Because let's just for show paint with 1 meter elevation. This right here does not look like grass. This looks like it's some kind of bush. It looks like it's way too high above the ground level, right? So what we want to do is we want to reduce this by a lot. We can go for 0.2 meters, which would be, I think it's 10 inches. Like that. And you can see it's still noticeably above ground, but it's not that crazy anymore. And it actually looks somewhat natural. I'm actually gonna go ahead and make this a 0.1, make it look even more natural. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a few more grass patches like this. Right, there we go. Cool. And now we're gonna go ahead and create one more level, one more layer above, and this one is gonna be just for the detailing. I'm gonna add like 1, 2, and that's it. Just a couple. And we're gonna make this even smaller. I'm gonna make this 0.05. There we go. And we actually have some decent base to work with right now. And we're gonna call these grass base. Saved. Right, so now we have our towers, our walls and towers and everything. We have our base as well. So let's go ahead and combine them. There you go, dude. There you go. This right here, Skyrim 2, easy. There we go. Check it out, Bethesda, just call me, I'm here. And by the way, you can actually use, you can hold two things. First of all, if you can hold Control and scroll, it goes up and down. Hold Shift and scroll, left and right. We're gonna use this to make it look a bit more varied. like that. And there you go, you can actually see how it starts looking a bit more natural. Yeah, I actually think this looks decent. Not bad. But the thing about this, we can actually, yeah, pretty much. So, actually, Gizmo, I might as well get into it since we're already here. So, what I've done so far is I've only taken care of mapping. And that's it. When you have a game, you kind of have different categories of objects. For instance, unless you actually have a special type of game where everything is destructible, you're probably not going to touch 95% of the objects in the game, right? You're not going to go ahead and punch a wall and expect the whole house to fall down. And because of that, what we can do is we can separate English, please. We can separate the type of objects we use in our game, and we can think of them in terms of objects you can interact with and objects that are just there for the show. And right now, the ones that we're using now is called mapping objects, you can see here, and those are just objects that we use for the show. This means that anything that ranges from walls to houses to rocks to flowers to bushes to cliffs to chasms, everything can be price tagged and everything will just be used through here. And that is because, first of all, you don't have to worry about collisions. If you don't worry about collisions, you don't worry about performance loss. That means I can also do some work underneath and make sure that everything is well optimized. So you can place a bunch of stuff on the screen and not worry about it. I haven't actually stress tested this, but I remember that last time I played with something like this, you can handle decently well up to 10,000 sprites at the same time on the screen. Right now we probably have like 30. And what I said is handle them decently. We can actually handle up to 100k sprites. I've done this before and it works like shit, but it works. And this means we can create massive worlds that are sprite stacked. All because we don't have to worry about physics objects. They're just images. And that's why I might as well just transition the whole thing. That's why we have different types of objects. We have mapping objects, which are just the thing that we see on the screen. And then we have regular objects, which right now there's none, because we have to add them. And these things actually have a body, a physics body. They have scripts attached to them, so they can be kind of smart. They have stuff such as movement, they can move around. They can have their own AI. For instance, if you want to create a smart arrow that once you cast it, goes ahead and chases its target. You can do that as well. And that's what you would use objects for. And since I started going on with it, then you have actors, which again, I don't have any right now. We're going to create some, which are basically your NPCs. They have their basic thing is that they have very smart scripts. They have a bunch of methods in their scripts, and you can use those to create a decently complex AI. Like, you'd be surprised. I'm gonna get more into it when we actually make some NPCs. But just by having a few utility methods, something like how close is the closest enemy, or how many friends are around me, or is there an enemy that's in my immediate proximity? If you just have these tools provided to you by the engine, you can create crazy complex AI by writing barely any lines of code. Most AI for units in games is simple. Most of it is just dedicated to writing this bullshit, to making sure that you get the nearby units in an optimized way, making sure that you don't just slow down your PC for no reason. But if you have everything like that taken care of, you can just worry about your actual game and you can actually make cool stuff instead of having to worry about little crap. And I realize I'm just trying to explain the idea of a game engine. You guys probably already know this, but yeah, I just get very passionate about it. And yeah, after that, you have particles, self-explanatory. You have lights, you can see that. Sounds, again, self-explanatory. Scripts, we're gonna get to. And then you remember how I talked about mapping before. I talked to you about how these objects, you can place them around and don't really have a body. They don't really have any physics to them. And that sounds kind of dumb. Like, does that mean I can just walk through walls? And no, that means you're gonna use the navigation editor right here. And what happens, it turns the whole screen green, and wherever you place, wherever you click, you block a cell. And now units, objects, and whatever, they cannot pass through that cell. It's like drawing a wall. And the advantage of this thing is that we can use it for pathfinding as well. And pathfinding on grids is easy, so we can have very fast pathfinding. Pathfinding is not in the engine yet, but it's going to be added soon. Either way, let me just open up a window real quick because I'm getting very hot in here. And we're going to go back and create some bushes to put around the little scene. Just give me 1 sec. Right. So I really hope that I'm not pissing off my neighbors because I'm speaking kind of loud, man. I'm not gonna lie. And they probably don't really care about sprite stacking. Or maybe they do. Maybe they're game development aficionados. But if you do hear me, I'm sorry, guys. But yeah. Either way, so I think that the nice next step is just... Actually, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and save this. And I'm gonna save this as Twitch showcase. Why? Because I hope it just doesn't randomly crash. It's better safe than sorry. But now that we have saved it, we can go ahead and add some more stuff. I'm actually thinking about adding some bushes right about here. A couple of flowers and whatnot. And then we can add some trees, nature stuff. And then we can actually make some... We can add the skeletons, the wooden skeletons we talked about. And as well some... we can start looking into adding objects. We can create a chest, for instance, that... I wouldn't go as far as making it interactable. Although you could. You could make a little script that checks whether any actor walked into it and then it explodes into gold. We can make that as well. So, let's get organized. Let's get back to our drawing board and let's make a bush. Right, so let's get rid of this. We don't need it anymore. And we can go ahead and select another grass texture. We want to do this because we want to be able to easily differentiate between the actual ground and other stuff, like bushes and whatnot. And this could work in theory. Let's try to make one bush like that. Yeah, this actually looks fairly okay. Like that, and add different sizes to it, make it look a bit more thick, like that. Yeah, that's a pretty thick bush. I'm gonna go ahead and add a new layer right there, and we can create the next layer as well. And this, I think we can go ahead and put on... Yeah, we have to disable perspective for this. Right, so I think that we can place this at about 0.5 and it will look very good. Yep, this looks fine. And we can select some fruits as well. I have this red texture that I like for that. Thick bush. And what I can do is make some berries as well. Just add the berries like that. And the reason I like to add them berries is because for the next layer I'm gonna make like that. When I do this, tell me that this wow, my English just stopped working for a second. Tell me that does look sick. Look at it, like you move the little scroller around and the little berries get uncovered. It's such a tiny thing, but it's honestly one of my favorite effects when using sprite stacking, just uncovering objects from underneath. Yeah, and I think that bush is ready to roll. Let's just save it as bush 1. Let's go ahead and try it out. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look terrible. It looks a bit off when compared to the ground. Basically, it's mainly because it's a different texture pack and the color scheme is different as well. This looks a bit more like something you'd find in a tundra, but for all intents and purposes, we already have a professional texture pack. Fuck it, might as well use this one. I'll go ahead and place it here. Cool, and look at it. I mean, it looks seamless. Just look at it. Yeah, dude, like that is my favorite part about it. That's why I went absolutely nuts when I saw what you can do with sprite stacking, because I don't think people outside the game and the game maker community gives sprite stacking enough of a credit, really. Like I've noticed this thing with game maker where it's very popular to use sprite stacking because, as far as I know, you don't have 3D models capacities, right? So you're gonna resort to trying to fake that effect. But the fact of the matter is that nobody outside the game maker community pays any attention to this. And I find that to be so weird. Because, for one, as you said, you can make textures in, what, 1 minute? If I didn't spend time talking to the camera, I probably finish all this in like, what, 3 minutes, maybe. And the other thing, which again, I haven't implemented in my engine yet, but I think it's going to be a big thing if I actually manage to make it be optimized enough. Imagine I just drop a bomb here. Everything is layered. You do not have this. You do not have this type of volumetric information in 3D models because it's inefficient. But you do in sprite stacking. That means that whenever an explosion hits, you're going to see the insides of the damn structure. That means I'm going to be able to see the stairs here, and I'm going to be able to see the rooms inside the tower when I blow it up. And that is insane, my dude. Like, the level of detail you can get from something so dumb is astonishing, really. And the next best thing is that you don't have to learn 3D. Fuck yeah. Dude, I was scared for 3D for the longest time, and that's probably why I gravitated towards sprite stacking, to be honest. But it's so much easier to use than 3D. It's just, there is a bit of math, but that's it. It's easy math, bro. Easy math. Yeah, true point. By the way, I'm not gonna go into too long of a tangent, but when I saw your I'm messing up the name, bro. It's not the skeleton animation. The thing you use for legs and arms. I can't really remember the sequences thing. I realized how much of a nuts engine game engine is. Like, bro. Last time I heard about game engine was probably in, I think, 2005. No, I'm talking shit. I was like 10. I was 10 in 2005. No, in 2009 or 10, I think. And that's because back in the day when I used to have Windows 98, I used to have, I really want to make games. And I obviously couldn't program. So I kind of had to choose. I just went ahead and Googled like how to make games. Easy. And I came across a bunch of engines, and I remember I was only able to run two things, and I was able to run Game Maker, fuck knows what version, and RPG Maker. And for the longest time, I thought that Game Maker was this dumb little thing, like a bit like RPG Maker. You just drag and drop stuff, and you can't really do much in it, and it's just yeah, bleh. But dude, like I checked out the latest versions, and holy shit, like it might as well be Unity. It's huge. Thesis, yeah, 3sig D. There you go. But yeah, I was blown away. And just to end this tangent as well, I checked out RPG Maker the other day. Bro, I don't know why the fuck I'm surprised. Like we have self-driving cars and we have AI that reads your face in like 0.5 seconds. But they actually added 3D in RPG Maker. It's crazy, dude. But yeah, either way. So we have a bush. Right, so let's go ahead and add the second bush as well, right about here. Yeah, this one right here. I'm gonna bring it up a bit. I'm gonna make it 0.3 like that. Cool. So we have a couple of bushes, and you know what? I can't be asked to spend too much time doing foliage. Yeah, dude, they actually added 3D, and I'm gonna be honest, it looks like shit, but it's RPG Maker 3D, bro. Like, so what they did, and I'm not sure because they went this crazy route. They, from what I understood, what they did is they opened up a store for plugins, and you can actually try out plugins in RPG Maker. And what you can do is use these 3D planes, and they basically use billboarding for the sprites. Or actually, you know what, dude? I have to show you this. Wait, I'm just gonna do one thing real quick. I'm gonna go ahead to bush number 1 and push it up a bit to the Y. I'm gonna make it 0.3 right here, so it gets a bit squished in the wall. Looks a bit more natural. I'm gonna save the project right here, Twitch Showcase, and I want to show you something because this is insane. You know what? I'm actually not gonna do this. I'm not gonna open my personal YouTube. I'm gonna go on Firefox and open up the streaming one. No, it's fine, dude. I'm probably gonna get derailed anyways. My attention span is like 0.2 seconds. I'm gonna go ahead on YouTube and I have to show you this because it's nuts, man. RPG Maker 3D. I actually saw a Doom clone in motherfucking RPG Maker, dude. Wait. Oh man, don't tell me. Not this Game Maker. Maybe? This looks like it could be it. I'm gonna mute this, make sure I don't get sued. Dude, look at this! This is made in RPG Maker. What the hell? Isn't this nuts? They just made Doom in RPG Maker. Yeah, anyways. Let's go ahead and start this again. Alright, so let's load. Okay, Twitch Showcase. Cool, so we have our little thing. Right, so before anything else, I want to add one more thing. I really want to add the wooden skeletons I was talking about because I think that would look sick. And after I add the wooden skeletons, one more thing we can do is add some bricks in here, some rubble, I guess, make it look like it's actually being built. And then we can move on to more interesting stuff. We can make a house. Right, so let's make some wooden skeletons real quick. I don't want to be spending too much time on this. So I think this would be a good texture because we use the dark wood thing here, and if we use a lighter material like this, it would actually stand up. So one way we can do this is right, so we have to decide how long we want them to be. And one thing I'm thinking about is we're gonna make it 3 meters long. So we're gonna go ahead and select snap to grid, and we're gonna create the legs of this skeleton. We're gonna add one here. We're gonna add one between those two things right here, and one here. Right? Cool. And one thing we can do is we don't want to draw this entire thing over and over again because that's boring. So what we can do is use C in order to copy layer and stack a copied layer. The bad thing about using C to copy is that, oh look, I'm gonna press C a bunch of times. Yeah, no, wait, it's just too tall now. I'm gonna go ahead and make this a bit shorter. I'm gonna make it like 0.3. I'm gonna press C a bunch of times. All right, I want you to look at how this looks on the side. Do you see how the texture here is half dark brown and half light brown? And it just goes all the way down. Same here, same here. This is the exact problem you're gonna get when you use sprite stacking with textures. When you use it with colors, you can't see it. When you use it with textures, what happens is that if the texture gets repeated on the same offset, I guess, for multiple layers, you're just gonna get this weird effect. Like, it looks like trash when you're actually making larger things like walls. And in order to kind of offset that and make everything look a bit nice, what I do is when I actually use my mouse to draw stuff, and when I actually press N and create a new layer that way, I actually offset the textures by just a bit. So each layer, for instance, you can see here the bottom layer is a bit more to the right than the one on top of it, which gets a bit offset to the left and left and left and so on. And this actually makes it look like material, right? It actually looks like a bunch of bricks. But if we used copy, it would just look like everything is lined up, and that would look bad. It would look like this. It doesn't really matter for now because when we were using poles and stuff like that, it actually looks okay. But yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. We're gonna have to make a bit more of a smart approach where we actually map the coordinates to texture coordinates and do some big brain math. But yeah, we're just not gonna bother with that for now. Yes, no, I didn't. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I'm going to show you in just one sec. So first of all, no. To answer that question, no. I do not bake all the sprites in one layer. I'm going to show you why. But what I do, and rather what libgdx does, is when you draw stuff on the screen, I'm not going to get too much on the tangent of this because actually, to be completely honest, I know close to nothing about this. But when you actually draw stuff, what you do is say, yo, I am about to draw stuff. Say batch.begin. And then you're going to say like, draw some bush, draw some wall, draw some whatever. Just draw a bunch of sprites, right? And then you tell the library, I'm done drawing stuff. And only when you say I'm done drawing stuff, you get all that stuff and send it to the GPU. So in a way, in a sense, it kind of works like that, where it kind of batches things down and just sends them to the pipeline all at once for you. But I don't actually create a big texture because if you actually go back to the editor, when I move my mouse, you're gonna see a parallax effect, like this, right? But what you may not notice is that the parallax effect is actually dependent on the center of the sprite. So when I move around this wall, just pretend that the mouse is my little guy walking around, this wall right here is gonna be closer to me, right? So I'm gonna move, and this one moves a bit less because it's closer to me. But this thing right here, the tower, is gonna move a bit more. Is not really noticeable because, yeah, I'm super close to both of them. But yeah, all of them move at different rates. The farther away a center is, the more is going to move. So I can't really apply that trick where I put everything when I kind of bake the textures, because I have to treat them as individual objects, so they actually move in individual ways. And that's actually one problem. That's a big problem, in fact, because that means I cannot really make very big rooms. I can, if I'm gonna make a very big room, just this fat ass room. Jesus, I'm sorry. Just yelled on top of my lungs. If you're gonna create this fat ass room, like 40 meters squared, I don't know, 60 feet large, whatever. The center is going to be way too offset, and like, look, I'm next to a wall right here, right? And when I move my head around, this wall doesn't move too much because it's close to me, right? Actually, no, it moves a lot because it's close to me. That's how parallax works. Yeah, it moves a lot when I move my head. But the door, which is on the other side, like 5 meters away, doesn't move that much because I'm farther away from it. But now, since we're treating the entire room as a single object, everything is gonna move because all the walls move around when I get farther away from the center. So that's a problem. And the way to fix it is to make smaller objects. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that I can't really create a big texture. I have to kind of split them apart in smaller objects. Ooh, that would actually be dope. I don't think about that. I might actually have to look into that, because in all honesty, it's my greatest shame, but I know fuck all about shaders. I should actually search that. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I'm gonna look into it. Oof. All right, so we're making the little skeleton, right? Yeah, there you go. So I'm gonna go ahead and do something like this. Cool. We have one layer. Press N. I'm gonna, basically what this is just gonna be like a, oops, like a tall fence, pretty much. You're gonna see what I mean in just 1 minute. Like this. Copy it again. You're gonna notice that it actually gets slower the more layers you go across. That's because you have to cast shadows every single time. And you know what? No, I'm actually thinking about a different thing. Look, I'm gonna go ahead in here and do something like this. Fuck. Like this. Right. Now, yeah, there you go. Cool. I think I can use this. Let's save it out. Wooden skeleton number 1. There you go. Right. And by the way, guys, if you want to see something, again, if you want to see something put in the game, just let me know. I'm going to model it up and just put it straight in the game. Right. It's kind of tiny. Yeah, I'm just going to scale it up. It's about here. Looks about right. Yeah, and I need to offset it by just a bit of that direction, so -y. I'm gonna go ahead and make this -1.7, -1.8 actually, 1.9. Yeah, there you go. It's not very noticeable, but I think small things like this actually add a lot to the quality of the game, I guess. I might make this a bit bigger, 1.9. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Just small details like this that add life to the game. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna add one more skeleton because I have something in mind, and after that, I guess I'm just gonna let you guys decide what you wanna have added to the game. Let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete these objects right here and add something like this. I'm gonna create one and yeah, I'm actually gonna make it 1 meter. Make it like this, like this. And by the way, Gizmo, I think 1 meter is like 3.5 feet or 4 feet. I actually never learned Imperial. I remember you asking a while back. But yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna copy this a bunch. The elevation was too big. I'm gonna make it 0.3 right here. And copy it a bunch of times, like that. Yeah. So I'm pretty much what I'm trying to do right now is basically the same thing as before, make a wooden skeleton, but this time for a corner. I actually got inspired to make this when I saw a plant stand. You know what? I'm gonna show you my plants real quick. I just got into growing plants. Actually, used to hate the whole thing, but I just renovated my apartment, and everybody on Reddit says that you should buy plants in order to make the whole thing look nicer. And you know what? I actually quite enjoy it. I have some aloe vera, and I have some hedera, which I really like. But poor little things, like I just bought them just before going for Christmas vacation, and they weren't really watered for a long time. I felt really bad about it. But they actually survived, and they're doing fine now. But yeah, either way. Right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and draw one line here, like that. Right. Yeah, cool. Add new layer. Cool. Copy this one a bunch of times as well. Now let's add another layer right here. Cool. Yeah, looks about right, I guess. Yeah, looks fine. And I'm gonna add one more layer. Like this. Cool. And this is gonna be wooden skeleton. Actually, one thing that shocked me, I'm making so many typos for someone that pretty much earns their living typing shit. I literally cannot write correctly. Right, so I'm just gonna place this. I think this would be the best place, yeah. Yep, it's a bit too much there again. So I'm gonna move it, I'm gonna deduct from X, from Y a bit, make it 1.7. 8. I should actually make a drag and drop system in here. Whoa. 7, 5. That looks fine, and I'm going to deduct from X just a bit as well. There we go. Yeah, and this looks about right. This looks about right. And you know what? Alright, check this out. I've been waiting for a chance to use this. So, do you see how this little bit right here, right? This is kind of sticking out. We don't want that. So we can go ahead and open this and use a little tool, a little naughty tool I created that's called vertex offsets. Once I click on it, I'm going to see a bunch of stuff. I'm going to see a bunch of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a bunch of fields. And what vertex offset does, it's exactly what it sounds like. You can add offsets to each one of your vertex individually, and it deforms the shape of the actual object. So if I want these right here to be ported a bit more towards the wall, what I would have to do is take the y coordinate, and for number 4, so y4, and kind of add a bit to it, because we want to like that. So what we have to do is y4 and increase just a tiny bit. I think that 0.5 would do. There you go. Exactly what we wanted. 0.3, even better. And there you go. The magic of working with sprites. But yeah, you know what, guys? I'm actually gonna take a big 5-minute break because I want to eat some blueberries. Yeah, and before that, I'm gonna go ahead and save our project again. And I'm gonna close this real quick, and I'm going to engage in, I'm not gonna wake up in 8 hours. I'm going to engage in one of the traditions in our little Twitch stream, and that is creating a BR-based screen while I watch my blueberries. Let's go ahead and new. Right. Yeah, I'm just gonna. Like that. That's supposed to be a blueberry. I'll go ahead and say B, R, B. Right, and I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Boop. Right. We're back. I got myself a bunch of blueberries. Just washed everything up. And yeah, you know what, guys? I'm actually gonna go ahead and do one thing. I'm gonna change the direction of the stream. And what I mean by that is that I'm not gonna spend too much time mapping anymore. I'm just gonna go ahead and walk you guys through the other areas of the engine, so you kind of get an idea of what can be done and how everything could potentially look like. And afterwards, I'm just gonna go ahead and play some Noita because I really want to play some. So yeah. Let's get started. Man, I'm really in love with blueberries. Like honestly, it's food on hacks. It's cheap, it's sweet, it's like 50 calories for 100 grams. It's perfect food. Yeah. So, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and just make this super quick. There's gonna be like 4 things I want to show. 4 things, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and load our project and we're just gonna take it sequentially. So first and foremost, I showed you what you can do with mapping. I showed you how you can make your own map. And next, I'm going to create an object. I'm actually going to create something that you can interact with. And in order to do this, the thing about objects is that they have their own sprite attached to them, right? So a good example of this would be what I mentioned a tad bit earlier, which would be a chest. I'm not gonna add the whole gold coin dropping when you click it, because that's gonna take a bit more time than we have on hands right now. But we're just gonna have a simple chest that's gonna have a physics body, and yeah, I think that would be good enough, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's good enough. So the way we do this is, again, we create a little chest right here. Let's see, we're gonna make this a 0.3. Do it a bunch of time like that. I'm actually gonna make a square chest because I don't really have the skills to create the curved chest yet. I don't really have the brushes for it. And as I mentioned, I don't really have the skill either. Just trying to save face here. But yeah, I'm gonna do something like this, and then I'm gonna select the metal texture. This right here, just to, yeah, it's gonna work. Just to have the outlines. Do it like this. Let's see. Yeah, this looks about fine. I'm gonna do it like this as well. Make the hinges. Boop, 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 like that. Yeah, that looks fine. That looks about right. And I'm just gonna make a lock as well while I'm at it. I'm gonna go ahead here, make something like this and this. And there you go, we have a little chest. It's not hyper detailed or anything, it's just something workable. There you go. Yeah, looks about right, I guess. Good enough. Let's say chest. And we're gonna save it to what? Save.